Hey, what's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to this week's show. It is Tuesday, June 18th. The year is 2019. And for some odd reason, Kyle West and myself are still doing this show 352 episodes later.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
That's awesome, man. It really, really is. I don't know how you're doing. Hopefully you're doing good. I'm moving around again, so I'm very tired. But we're going to go and knock this podcast out this week and jump right into it. There's some weird stuff in this one this week, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, this is a very off-season show where we get to talk about everything from Kirk Cousins to Brett Favre to Denny Green. It's like a stew of Minnesota Vikings information where you just chop and dice up what you have and throw it all in the pot.
Yep. You mentioned some really good ones there. And the main topic today, we're going to talk about Harrison Smith. So this is episode number 352, titled "There's Something About Harry." Dirty Harry. I'm back in North Carolina this week, and I checked my mail, and I ordered an autographed picture of Harrison Smith, like running out with an American flag, and that came in. So that's fitting to start the show.
Cool.
To talk about. I'm adding little pieces here and there in my man cave that I don't have yet, but I'm going to have some pretty cool Viking stuff hanging up on the wall. Once I can cover, if you got like a 6 or 7 foot wall and you can like dedicate something. That would definitely.
Once you decide to pick a state and like settle down, you can actually have your man cave.
That's true. That is a very good point.
That's a joke between all of us in the chat. It's like, where in the world is Kyle Smith this week?
Yeah, where am I at this week?
It used to be what country you were in.
Yeah, I remember doing shows from Kuwait, which was just hilarious to even think about, but that did happen.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever mentioned that on air, that we were like, hey, you're in Kuwait right now.
Yeah, if you guys are really faithful to the show, you can dig back in the year of 2016. There's a lot of shows where I was sitting out on the phone trying to get some stable Wi-Fi, which is not over there. But anyways, we've already started talking about different countries too. We haven't even gotten into quick hits. All right, so let's jump into these quick hits. First one is from Pro Football Focus. There's a stat out. Kirk Cousins was tied with Baker Mayfield in 17th place in yards per attempt on play action passes. 8.6 yards was the average. However, Cousins ranked second in completion percentage on play action passes. This is at 77.1%. Drew Brees was first. I think we all could probably guess that. That's a little stat. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Well, we can talk about his comments, too, that he made that's kind of been spreading around social media like wildfire. But it's not for a lack of trying and throwing the ball. The dude throws the ball a lot. And most of the time, I would say 3/4 of the time, it's usually a good decision. So it's a pretty good little stat to have. Didn't know that Baker Mayfield was in the middle there. That's kind of crazy. Didn't think he was that good, but apparently he is too.
Yeah, I threw this in there. I thought it was interesting. I like the fact that his completion percentage is high on play action pass, 77.1. That tells me that that's something that Kirk Cousins is comfortable at and is good at doing. So we need to run more of it. The yards, what was it? 8.6 yards per attempt on play action pass. It's kind of middle of the pass. But I mean, 8.6 yards, if you're just taking it as a pure, like, I'm going to pass the ball, and on average, we're going to get close to 9 yards out of it. I'll take that. Could be a little higher. Sure, we take it a little higher. But I think that's a good thing for, like, hey, here's what he's good at doing. New offensive coordinator. Let's do more of that.
Oh, it's funny. I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy John. I stayed with him last week in Texas up until this morning, and he's a good old Dallas Cowboy fan. But I asked him the other day while we were hanging out. I said, hey, he loves Madden, Rainbow Six Siege, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like a really, really good Madden player. I was like, hey, man, play with the Vikings one time. Sure. Just the Vikings in Pittsburgh on this game. And he's like, man, your offensive line sucks. And I was like, yes, that is very, very true. He's like, what could I do to compensate? Let's do some play action. And I was like, you're going to win if you do play action because that's where Kirk shines. And he did. And it was pretty good. I mean, it's a video game, obviously. But, they try to set it up as realistic as possible with most of these players. Coaches, the schemes, all that. But funny you mentioned that in the first little note because You got to even see it in the virtual world. We were playing it the other day, and man, he was just smoking people on those play action passes on there.
And this is a good stat because I think that it translates to like actual, like a tangible thing on the field, like the 77.1% percentage completion percentage on that. That's like an actual thing that you can. It's not one of these made up. You know, some of these stats feel made up. Like this one is like actually like, oh, being high on this completion percentage is actually a positive. Like that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, they can skew the stats any way they want to now, which is super annoying. I like stats just because I don't think necessarily the numbers lie, but the real test is the tape. I mean, we can throw that in for later too about Kirk and what he said his play and what he thought of his play thus far in his career. But I like these stats. These are good little nuggets to have just to bring out.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's the off season, and we have to go digging for stuff. So you're going to get a couple of those here in this show. Another good one that threw in. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, flip the order of these two. Do the Kirk Cousins one, the second Kirk Cousins one next, and then we'll close with the Anthony Barr stat.
Yeah, we got some more pro football focused stats here. There's more with Anthony Barr coming up. The one that Kyle's talking about now is then you guys want to guess if you were doing if you got anybody in the chat at the moment, what route did Kirk Cousins have the highest passer rating for in 2018? In this particular route, Cousins had a 113.3 passer rating. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to sit back and give people a second and see if they can take a good guess.
Yeah, and if anyone follows us over on Facebook, I posted a video of Kirk Cousins throwing a pass to Kyle Rudolph, a touchdown pass that I dug up that I think qualifies for this route. Alan Adkins says deep, and that is correct. We're talking about the go route. That would have been, what do you say, 113.3% passer rating on the go route. So again, what are some of his strengths? Well, there's one. Let's play to that. And we got a couple darn good receivers with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. So we got to find the team's strengths and we got to play to it.
So I have this here for everyone who's like me and you want to get stuff laid out simple to remember. So from Sporting Charts, Dictionary, and from Wikipedia, I'll give you these two answers. What is a go route? A route run by a receiver in football that requires the receiver to run straight upfield towards the end zone. The primary goal is to use fast, vertical speed. It puts the receiver behind any defensive backs attempting to defend the play. Or the other definition here from Gridiron Football and Wikipedia. A fly route, also called a streak route or a go route, is a pattern run where the receiver runs straight upfield towards the end zone. It creates a large gap in coverage, allowing another receiver to run a shorter route. So
it's the Randy Moss route.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, if you're
playing Madden, this is when you throw in four verticals. Everybody's doing the go route. So
yeah.
When you think about it at first, at least for me, when it comes to mind is, oh, well, that's not hard. You know, the receivers aren't really, you know, you don't have to wait for a certain time, or middle of the field always scares me because, you know, for interceptions.
You get that big hit on the linebacker. Yeah.
Thinking about a go route, thinking about how you have to put the ball on a dime. It has to be on the outside so it can go out of bounds instead of getting intercepted. The receiver's hauling ass, so it's got to be perfectly placed. It's a pretty good little route. I mean, I wasn't a quarterback, I didn't play, so I can't really say much. But just from the naked eye and watching, this seems a little more difficult too, rather than, you know, maybe a slant or something or a little screen. So go route's pretty good, and that's where Kirk shines. I didn't know that, so that's a good stat by you to put in there.
And I thought one of the knocks on Kirk Cousins was that he didn't throw accurate deep passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this stat tells me otherwise.
The thing, too, when I think about this, and I don't know if it was a go route or not, but I think the best – and we should ask this, too, from last season. What is the best throw that Kirk threw last year? For me, it's week 2, that pass to Adam Thielen that went through 2 people in the corner of the end zone. That was insane. It was such a good – I think Kirk was playing his ass off that game, trying to prove a point and to make sure that we try to win. That was the game where we tied thanks to the kicker. But just thinking about that, man. Cool little stat for Kirk that a lot of us probably didn't know. And I'd be curious to know that. What's your favorite throw from last year? Because he had some good ones. I mean, he threw 30 touchdowns, so you had a lot to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Moving along with Pro Football Focus, this kind of shocked me too. I don't know what you guys think, because I thought it was definitely going to be his counterpart across from him. But Anthony Barr was the highest graded linebacker for Minnesota with a 71.4 overall grade. I did not expect that. It was a weird year for him.
Yeah, me neither.
Especially that Rams game where he got lit up. But you can't go by one game. There was a couple games there where the whole team just looked like crap. So I get it. That's cool, though. I didn't know that he would be the highest graded linebacker for us. I'm pretty sure everyone here at least would have thought it was Kendricks, but curious to know now what his grade was.
Yeah, there's a reason why Mike Zimmer wanted to bring Anthony Barr back to the team. And again, it comes down to I don't know why they were dropping him back into coverage the way they were, because he's not good at pass coverage. Play to his, you got to play to his strengths, and that's keeping him around the line, getting after the quarterback, that kind of stuff. So, but the 71.4, grade for a linebacker, that's pretty darn good too.
I'm going to look this up and try to see what exactly the grade was over, and I want to see the grades over the years too. I want to see when his best season was. I want to see where how far away Eric Kendricks was from last year, because I've just known him to be pretty damn good all the time. This is not a slight against either one of these guys. It's just I wasn't expecting him to be in there when he's the best linebacker on the team. But I'll take it, and I'm glad that he decided to stay, because it's one less thing we needed to worry about for this year coming up. Because this is what's crazy too. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. If the team actually goes to the Super Bowl this year, and if they for some reason won it and didn't break our hearts into a million pieces, but even if they go to the Super Bowl, it's a fucking win for this team. Think about
right?
Think about all the pieces we had to keep. We kept Anthony Barr. We figured out a way to keep Kyle Rudolph. We extended a bunch of people. Pretty much everyone minus Sheldon Richardson stayed. That was like a huge name. You know what I mean? Like a really big, huge day one starter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's super crucial that Barr is staying with us too. It was kind of went under the radar. We didn't talk about it too much. We kind of figured that somebody was going to walk, but in true Viking form, especially in the last decade, with this part of management that we have, they figured out a way to keep everybody there. So I think that's going to be underrated. And if there was ever a year where we could figure everything out, God, I'm hoping it's this year. I have a good feeling, but we'll see. Adam Rank doesn't think we're going to do that well. Did you see what he predicted our record was going to be on that little touch screen where they do like every 4 games and they go through?
No, I didn't see that. What was it?
Oh, take a wild guess. Adam Rank from the NFL Network, I believe. Not sure. He works in the NFL. He's a writer for sure. I know that.
Yeah.
He went on the screen and he did the little touches. Take a wild guess at what he predicted the Vikings record to be this year.
5 wins.
Yep, 5-11.
Wow. And I honestly, I did not know that.
Stupid wins on there too. Like, we're going to get swept by Detroit, but we're going to go and win in Seattle when we haven't won in Seattle in almost 10 fucking years. Like,
yeah, and forever.
I don't get these guys, but I want to throw that out there for you. I like it when they predict us to go 5-11, because then we can turn right around and it'd be the opposite, and I'd be okay with 11-5. So
this team can accidentally win more than 5 games. Like it's a pretty talented unit, right?
He said accidentally win more than 5 games. Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's too much talent for them not to win at half of their games at least. The worst that I see this team going this year is 7-9, which would be a setback from last year, but still right at 500, a little bit below. I just don't see that happening, man. You have too much talent, and the coaching staff is good. I think last year was an anomaly of, we got the shit kicked out of us by the Eagles, and we're just going to try to play everyone like the Eagles with the Eagles quarterback coach. It was a very much like kind of like when you get infatuated with a girl and you're like, I love her. No, you just like to have sex and she's really pretty. You don't really love her yet. You're just sitting there like, well, no, but I'm kind of in love. No, you're kind of obsessed. We can get back to true Viking form and running the damn football.
Yeah, we just got to run it, which leads really well into the next quick hit. But like, just run the ball.
This is good. And funny you mention that because that's why I set it up. Former Vikings running back coach Chuck Foreman spoke on his this year's running back group. He's quoted as saying, "This might be the best group of running backs from top to bottom the Vikings have ever had, in my opinion. I don't know who they're going to keep, but what I do know is a lot of them are NFL material." Chuck Foreman, I love you. We had a guy named Adrian Peterson, and then Chester Taylor did really good. I don't think it's the best, but I think that it's for the way the league is set up now, and I won't say by committee because we have a running back number one established, but for the 1-2 combo that you look for, I like it. I like this group a lot. I'm just excited to see. I've been talking about the kid since the day after the draft. I'm really excited to see Alexander Mattison and what he does. I'm super pumped, and I hope this guy does really, really, really well. Because, man, with what Cook will bring to the table, a full year under his belt, being healthy, and him coming in as, the bowling ball that we were talking about. But we have the list right here just in case you guys wanted to get the update. Amir Abdullah, Mike Boone, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, and Rock Thomas.
CJ Ham out there at fullback.
Yeah, CJ Ham is the fullback in there as well. Who Dalvin Cook is really good friends with, by the way. You check out social media a lot. He's on there. He's always hanging out with CJ Ham. I like that. I don't know, man. What do you think the best running back group that we've ever had is? Is it AP and Chester Taylor?
I mean, any group with Adrian Peterson was the best. I mean, even Toby Gerhart and Adrian Peterson ended up being a pretty good combination for this team as well, too. And you've seen what happened to Toby when he left Minnesota. Basically nothing. That's how good that Peterson was. I mean, Robert Smith. We don't talk a lot about Robert Smith because, he was around that time when we were throwing all those passes to Moss and Carter, but Robert Smith was a damn good back for the Vikings as well, too. To bring it to our current group, I do agree with Chuck. There was a lot of talent on this team. You got Cook and Madison 1 and 2, and then Mike Boone and Rock Thomas for the third. Amir Abdullah, I still don't quite know how he fits in, but it's a lot of darn good competition for this team.
Yeah, I hate this the more that I read some of these guys' names like Amir Abdullah, because the Vikings have been so bad about that, and all over position groups in their history, at least the recent history in the last 20 years that I remember. They'll go grab guys that were okay on other teams. They just don't find their way on this one. But Amir Abdullah, he was doing some kick returns last year. Not sure he's going to get that job this year.
Wait, isn't Rock Thomas suspended or something stupid?
Yeah. That's
okay. That's right.
So if you got a core group of Cook, Madison, CJ Ham, and Abdullah, I think those are the guys you'll see most often.
I like me some Mike Boone, though.
Maybe. Yeah. I can't remember who it was last year. I think the only stat that I remember from him was I don't know if it was Thomas or Boone, but he just came out to catch a screen and he got like nothing there. I'm like, well, that was your one and only play in this game. Have a good day. It was pretty shitty. It was a terrible play call, but whatever.
Yeah. We got a couple questions in the chat here. Ying Yaj wants to know, if we had Nick Foles instead of Kirk Cousins last season, would the Vikings be better or worse? I am going to say worse, because I think that Nick Foles was a really good fit in Philadelphia, the same way that Jesus Christ, who was the quarterback that we just had? Case Keenum was a really good fit for the Vikings. Like, sometimes it's just a really good fit. And I don't know if you take Nick Foles out of Philly, if he's going to have as much success just being away from that team. So I don't know. I'm going to say the Vikings would be worse.
What was the question to start again?
If we had Nick Foles instead of Kirk Cousins last season, would we have done better or worse?
I think we would have done better. But what you got to remember, let's talk about what happened with him in Philly. So he was there before. I believe it was a different coach. I don't know if Reed was still there, if he had already moved to Kansas City, or if it was what the hell is that?
Chip Kelly?
Yeah, I don't know if it was him or whoever, but he was familiar with the city and had familiarity of some sort there. He comes back. Doug Peterson's a badass coach. Howie Roseman, is that their GM or whoever? They're badass general manager, and they figured it out, man. But here's two things you got to think about of why, or three things actually, why they're successful, all right? Number one, Nick Foles didn't have to play the whole season. He had to come in and win 5 games. Kirk Cousins won more than 5 games last year. Now, was it top-level talent that he was playing against? Yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, he didn't have to play a full season. Number two, if you look at their roster, holy shit, man. So good. Offensive line was one of the best. They ran the ball efficiently. They had receivers that could get open because of the run game. And their defense was just so good, too. Which brings me to my third point, which is the opposite of that. Would Nick Foles have succeeded with a shitty line like we had last year, 30th out of 32, and no run game? I can't say that he would have done.
Well, we've seen that. We've seen that from Nick Foles when he was with Jeff Fisher in St. Louis.
Yeah, no, it's true. I definitely think he's a starter. I don't know why he bounced around. You know, these guys, the teams take these quarterbacks that are young and they want to do the freshman deal, as I call them, the rookie contracts. They want to try to win immediately, which is fucking crazy to me to think about. They're like, hey, I know you just got to the NFL, but we're going to try to win a Super Bowl the next 2 years. Okay, figure it out. But he's a starting quarterback for sure. It's tough to say, man, because he wouldn't have been in an ideal situation, which should bring a little bit more in to talk about Kirk Cousins, because he's not been up to par yet. And we'll talk about that in the next quick hit. But he didn't necessarily have a lot of help around either, you know, as far as the line and protection and the run game, which is absolutely not last year. So we'll talk about that now that we're here. I'm rambling, but there's a quote by Kirk Cousins. This one took social media by fire. I saw it on a lot of Instagram pages about the Vikings and stuff like that. But he's pretty much said, I'm pretty much a 500 quarterback in my career so far. I don't think that's where you want to be. That's not why you're brought in or people are excited about you. He knows that he's got to win more games, especially those prime time and those clutch games. If he fails this year, there's really no excuse, and I think he is who everybody thought he was. But I'm really banking on the addition of Gary Kubiak, this run game, and the way they're going to do stuff to let him succeed, because he started out last year pretty hot for us. And as injuries happened and all that stuff happened later in the year, he kind of fizzled out with the rest of them. So we'll see, man. I want him to have no excuses before I just completely write him off. Because we're married to the guy, whether we want to be or not, for 2 more years. So.
Right, and I do like the fact that he's being honest with himself and with the media. I respect that a lot, because a lot of the times you get these quotes that are so generic and bullshit. It's like, what does that matter? So he gave an honest quote, and he goes on. It's a much longer quote than what we just read. I suggest looking it up, where he goes on to explain that, hey, he knows that the pressure is on and that he was brought in to be the guy and to be the missing piece, and that he knows he has to win more games than what he did last year. So I respect him for that, to be honest. I really do.
Yeah, that's the first part of it. You got to look in the mirror and recognize, and start with yourself, then think about all these. I think, like you said, we'll see what happens, man. I feel really good about the team. I feel really good about the coaching staff and the additions. Really, the only thing that screws us this year that I don't like is the schedule, man. The schedule it's middle of the road as far as like toughness. I think it's 12th out of 32, so it's a little bit harder than the average. But yeah, the schedule to me is kind of brutal in spots. But you got to play who you got to play, and you win when you go out and win. So he has the opportunity, and he'll face some good competition coming up this year. So.
Alan Atkins in the chat room says, nobody was good with Jeff Fisher. That is true. Jeff Fisher ruined the career of Vince Young. I really believe that.
And Sam Bradford. God.
Well, Bradford's injury history was going to be unavoidable, I think. But.
Yeah, that's true. I can't argue with that.
But he did completely mess up Vince Young. Just absolutely messed him up.
Oh my God. Jeff Fisher looks like NASCAR.
Yeah.
He does. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania named a street after former Viking coach Dennis Green. A section of Walnut Street, 1,100 to 1,300 blocks, was declared Dennis Green Way. This is the section of the street where the coach grew up. Green entered the Vikings Ring of Honor last year in 2018, and is second all-time in franchise history when it comes to wins as a head coach. 97 wins, 12 playoff appearances, and a win percentage of 61. Man, those are some big shoes to fill. This is really cool for the hometown, and he has ties with us, obviously, with one of the greatest teams to ever do it on the offensive side of the ball. So that's really cool. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My hat goes off to you.
Yeah. Well, that seems confusing for people who live on Walnut Street, that it's only the 1,100 to the 1,300 block. It got renamed Dennis Greenway. Like, what's that going to do to your GPS if you live in that section of Walnut Street? I'm joking, though. That's a really cool honor that you can get a street named after you. And in case anyone is wondering who the all-time winningest coach in franchise history is, Bud Grant, and that should not be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, if you didn't know that one, go look that guy up. He was all right.
Yeah, they're still making fun of Jeff Fisher in the chat room. They were pointed out that he drafted Kevin Dyson over top of Randy Moss. So there you go.
The last quickie that we have, talk about tight ends. David Morgan recently had arthroscopic surgery to repair a knee injury he'd been dealing with since last season. He's not been a participant of any of the Vikings OTAs or minicamp practices, but he is expected to be recovered in time to take part in the training camp this summer. So, yeah.
So he's not going to miss anything significant, really. So long as he gets to training camp and preseason, that's the important part. I'm not saying that the OTAs and the mini camps are not, but I feel like those are more geared towards rookies and, maybe players who are brand new to the system, brand new to the team that want to come in and get the extra experience. Someone like David Morgan, who's been here for, a cup of coffee, he'll be okay. He knows what he's doing. He knows the routine. We get him in training camp, and that's when you're actually gearing up for the season. So I think that's okay. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, this reminds me of the stuff that's going on with Todd Gurley over there in LA. He's playing with arthritis in his knee, and they're giving him a lot of downtime. They pretty much said, hey, you've been the offense. You're still going to be the offense, but we understand that this is going to bother you, and we plan on kicking ass and going into the postseason very deep. So we're going to manage what you do. So he hasn't done a lot right now in OTAs and minicamp, stuff like that, as he shouldn't. Now, is David Morgan on Todd Gurley level of tight ends? No. But
no.
He's excuse me. He's a good addition to this team. He's a good contributor. He's one of those guys that gets in the trenches and he does the dirty work you'll never notice. And he'll come in and catch a touchdown, once a year, which is really cool. But he does a lot of good blocking. And I just like the guy because he's like a hard-nosed football player. Most tight ends have to be. But, this isn't, like you said, this isn't a major thing. If he's back for training camp and he can get some reps in, cool. Hey, here's a good thing about this team. If you guys didn't know, we have a shitload of good tight ends. So we're going to be okay if David Morgan has to get eased back into maybe week 1, 2, 3, or 4. We just drafted a kid, Kyle Rudolph's staying. I forget who the guy with Tyler Conklin, was that his name?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds like a player.
That is a player. I always get him and the kid from the offensive line mixed up. So if I fuck that up, you guys can annihilate me in the comments. But we have 4 good tight ends on the team, and they each know where they belong. But they can pick up the weight while he gets ready. And best of luck to you, man. Heal up so you can play and get out there and help us win, man. All right, the main topic for this week. We talk about
more salary cap. Are you tired of salary cap yet?
Money talk here. Here we go. Let's talk about Harrison Smith. In my humble opinion, the best player on the defense that we have.
I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, he's just been super consistent, just the best player on that side. We were talking about Pro Football Focus earlier. If you want to look it up, he's had some really good stats over the last couple of years.
Wasn't he the highest rated safety in the
Yeah.
league? With
Yep.
like, what was it, like 97 point something?
Yeah, the highest graded, the highest one by a safety that they ever graded in a season. I think that was the 2017 year. Last year, he was a little off. The whole defense was off, but he's consistently been in the top 3 to 5. The only people that he's behind is like Earl Thomas and guys like that. So if you're right behind Earl Thomas, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we had a question for this one. So could the Vikings turn to him to help create some much-needed cap space? So what do we mean by that? Smith's current contract doesn't expire until 2022, but according to Darren Wolfson, the Vikings and Smith could be interested in talking potential contract extension real soon. Now, his average salary is $10.25 million a year. This is 6th highest among safeties in the NFL. If he was to bring up just the stats alone, he could get a raise up to about $12 million a year, I believe, or maybe even 13, depending on what Earl Thomas and those guys make. Because, man, he's like I said, if he's not number 1, he's 2 or 3, just on any given day and overall for the overall production the last 3 to 5 years. He's been up there with the best of them. So he could argue that point. I don't know if they're going to do a bunch of backloaded stuff or I don't know. This is where like the real wizardry of management of football teams come in, because you want to keep the player happy. You want to make sure they get paid. You want to free up stuff for yourself so you can take care of other people. And not only do you have to fix the now, but you have to worry about stuff in the future. This isn't like, just taking scrap metal and throwing it in your backyard and forgetting about it. This money and all these extensions, they come up in the future. So maybe you mend some fences now. Maybe you have to reopen them later and try to mend them again. I don't want that job ever. It sounds super stressful, and I wouldn't know how to begin to start.
Right. For starters, I firmly believe that Harrison Smith will play his entire career in Minnesota, barring just some unforeseen absolute collapse of this team where they have to blow the whole thing out and players are just exiting due to trades or whatever, which I don't think is going to happen. But Harrison Smith is going to retire many seasons from now. What the hell was that? as a Minnesota Viking. I think they're going to do the thing where you can extend his contract. You can give him a boatload of money up front through like guarantees or signing bonuses or whatever you call it. And then you backload the contract to where you can save money up front. We've seen Rick Spielman do this quite a bit, where it's like we give you some signing bonuses now to extend it out for a larger contract later on to help save for the immediate future for the Vikings. Like that's what I imagine they're going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be something that makes sense on both ends. Just the effort and the work of it all is just it's just mind-boggling to me. And maybe it's not as hard as I think it is, but that's the other part too, man. The NFL is ever changing. Look at quarterbacks in the last 3 or 4 years. These numbers keep going up, and they're just freaking crazy.
Insane.
Now, my dad and I were talking about this because they were talking about it for the NBA. Not sure how many like hardcore basketball fans we have, but I'm in this town called Gastonia, North Carolina. It's actually where James Worthy grew up, that played for the Lakers. One of the best NBA players ever. And we know, James's parents through church, all that stuff. There's some other players too. And just because you hear Carson Wentz got like $135 million extension or whatever, it's not guaranteed money. You have to live up to a lot of incentives. Like let's take, for instance, this basketball stuff I was talking about. Whatever player he was talking about the other day said you have to shoot at least 75% from the free throw line, and then you have to be at least 50% from the field goal shooting. And you have to be NBA second team, all second team or whatever at least. You have to be like in the top whatever to get all this money. So all this stuff that you hear, if we ended up giving Harrison Smith something, what I'm trying to round this out to is if it seems like it's a lot up front, look into it more, because number one, the kid's worth it anyway. But it's
definitely
Yeah, it's probably going to be something that is beneficial to both sides. And if it sounds like a ton, look into it and see what's guaranteed of it. Like, go back to the quarterback stuff, like Kirk Cousins thing. That was a genius move on his part to get all guaranteed money right now every year, and you have a flat rate. But a lot of those contracts, they don't work that way.
Right, because you always look at it. Yingyaj said that Harrison Smith is a future Hall of Famer. I would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I definitely think so. You look at a lot of these contracts where a player signs a 6-year, a 7-year, multi-million-dollar contract. Well, they never play out the duration of that contract. You're right. It's like they're never through the duration of the contract. It just doesn't work that way. Because you can cut a guy. Like, you can cut him, and you only have to pay whatever the guarantee is on it. And it's not fully guaranteed. We've talked about this with like you were talking about in the NBA, they call them, I think, accelerators or something in the NFL, where it's like for a wide receiver, if you have so many catches, so many touchdowns, if you make it to the Pro Bowl, if you're all pro or whatever, you reach these accelerators in your contract that pay you so much based on that. And
yeah, they're like bonuses. And I think Gronk was talking about that. We talk about like him and Marshawn Lynch, how they played and saved their whole NFL earnings because they had like sponsors or whatever. And they only took the sponsor money for the time being, which is really smart. But you're talking about, oh, well, Gronk's contract isn't a lot of money. Well, yeah, it has potential to be $15 million a year if they win the Super Bowl. Now, if you're talking about the Patriots, yeah, they're probably going to win the Super Bowl. You'll get $1 million bonus. If you reach over 100 receptions, if you reach 1,400 yards, you get another $750,000. So pretty much, like, you have to play and ball your ass off, and you'll get a lot of money. So the incentive for the player to play really, really well because they'll get paid more. But, I mean, Harrison's been doing that anyways. He's just naturally that good. I don't really know what the safety thing, like, does it come down to, like, tackles and interceptions? Like,
I couldn't tell you on that one.
Average grades? Like, that's a good question to ask, like, the super football nerds. How do you break down his contract as far as the money and how you play up to, like, what are the stats that he needs to achieve to unlock these bonuses we were talking about? But yeah, I could see Harrison Smith being one of the guys to take a small cut or either a restructure of some sort. If it benefits him, I think he could do it because other guys have.
I mean, it's tough to say what you and I would do in a position like that because I will never be in a position to make, what is it, $10.25 million a season. Like, what the fuck kind of money is that? But if I was in a position, like, I would be okay with taking more money up front as like a signing bonus or whatever, because especially in the NFL and when you get kind of older, I don't know if I would want to bank on like a full 6-year contract because you don't know if you're going to be healthy. You don't 6 years in the NFL is a long time. So like I would be okay with taking a chunk of money up front. Yeah. If it works out the same, it's like, hey, you're going to get a chunk of money up front instead of that same chunk of money spread out over 3 years, and you're going to save the team salary cap space by doing so. Like, I would probably do that.
Yeah, you're exactly right too. Good point made about the length of their career. It's why these guys pretty much after the rookie contract, they're like Dak Prescott's a good one because he's there right now, right? He's gonna get paid a shitload of money. He might make more than Kirk Cousins does per year. We can debate all day long on whether he's a better quarterback or not. He's had success and won a playoff game, so probably technically yeah. But when it comes down to it, you have to protect yourself because this game, there are very few people that play 10 years in the NFL or more. So I 100% what you're saying right now. Go out, get your money, and try to get paid as much as you can, as long as you can, because this is an unforgiving sport, and the average career time is 3 years. So
less than that, I think.
Go get your money while you can. I would say, but I could see Harrison, being I would say team friendly, but restructuring to benefit the team rather.
definitely.
Not saying he will, but I wouldn't be surprised because, yeah, he's a good dude.
Boy, as much as I like talking contracts and all this stuff, I can't wait for meaningful football.
I was having fun just sitting here trying to fake like I'm a financial expert, and
I am not a financial expert. This stuff is fun to talk about, but I can't wait for training camp and like actual like football to get here. I was going on YouTube today and I was finding like 15, 20-minute cut-ups of like game highlights and just like, hey, I'm gonna watch this Jacksonville highlight footage because why I need some football right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah.
it has another little thing too, just to fill in. I can't remember the exact handle, and I'm not doing this because I don't want to give them credit. I just truthfully did. I don't remember the name of the page. There's some good football stat lovers and pages on Instagram. I'm a big Instagram fan. I'm on there every day, and from what the reports are, that they're out so far. The kid that we picked up from Denver, what's his name? Jordan Taylor. Is that his name? The wide
The receiver?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember his name, but yeah, that you could be right.
Jordan Taylor, I think, if I'm wrong, you guys let me know. But the kid we picked up from Denver hasn't done really anything special his career yet. A solid addition to the team. Right now, he's taken over as the wide receiver 3 spot based off of how he's looking in camp, the mini camp, and the OTAs. So we might be able to start closing the Laquan Treadwell door. This kid could come in. Now, Thielen and Diggs are going to catch all the passes, but if he could be a good possession receiver and be another Jarius or Aldrick Robinson, he's going to fit right in, and maybe he'll earn a little coin for him and another chance to prove himself to stay with the team again.
So, I think that third receiver position for the Vikings is one that should be really lucrative to whatever receivers are on the team, because either Thielen or Diggs is going to get double covered on pretty much every play. Like, those guys are going to command the coverage, the respect from the defenses. That should, in theory, leave that third receiver fairly open most of the time on the field to go out there and make plays. Like, if I was a receiver on the Vikings, I would be fighting like hell for that third receiver spot. Because if you're worth a shit, if you can get yourself open, like Cousins he'll throw the ball your direction. Like, he will find the open guy and throw to him. So you've got an opportunity to make a name for yourself. And if you can prove that you're worth a shit, man, you could spend a season with Minnesota and potentially flip it into a big contract for another team who's looking for a 1 or a 2 receiver.
Yeah, you got to think too. To that point, you got to think if you're battling for wide receiver number 3, the 2 best corners on the field are going to be covering Thielen and Diggs. Sometimes there's going to be either safety help coming down or another corner to cover one of those. So it'll be 3 for those 2 guys. So you're going to get some good matches as far as like personnel-wise. So I'm excited for the kid. He's a big body receiver, and apparently the buzz going around so far, now we haven't done training camp yet, but OTAs and minicamp, is he's looking like the wide receiver number 3, which is really cool.
I like that. That's a good story.
And I'm not saying this because you guys know at the show I'm very open-minded. I'm not that guy, so I don't even want to come off that way. But I have to say, I think it's really funny and cool too if we have like another white boy that comes in, and he's going to be running around because we already have White Lightning with Adam Thielen, and if we have another big body dude that comes in, because I don't really see the white guys going in and being like the speedsters and the wide receiver type. You got to be a perfect route runner like Thielen. So I thought that was pretty cool too, man. Like, as much as I can church that up, I know it sounds bad coming out, but I was like, man, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe we'll have some New England stuff up here. We have like every white receiver in the league. Give them a shot, Kirk.
But I'm really pulling.
That answers a lot of questions because, like, getting back to serious football business, if you can become another Jarius Wright and be Mr. Third Down, or even like Aldrick. Aldrick came in last year and he caught like 5 touchdowns. He was just open all the damn time because people aren't going to pay attention to him as much as they are Thielen and Diggs. And that's good for us because the dude was fast and he was pretty sure-handed. So I'm excited for the kid, and I hope that that's what it ends up being because he's like a prototype as far as physical stuff of what you want to see for a 3.
Yeah, and I think that's what was frustrating about Laquan Treadwell. and his lack of production is like we talked about. You look at all the other talent on this team, it's like you got to pay attention to Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, like all these pieces and parts on the offense should lead to other guys being able to have success, because the defense, they shouldn't be really keying, like they shouldn't be keying in on you that much. You should be able to have, there should be opportunities for some of these guys out there.
Yep. You get, like I said, the Saints, it's just exactly what I was trying to say earlier, man.
Yeah.
Solid point. You're gonna have a good matchup and take advantage of it. Plus, going back to like the physicality of them and all, the receivers that we have aren't really huge. Like Diggs is a little undersized but super fast. Thielen's bigger than he looks. But Rudy's huge. Irv Smith is fucking huge. Yeah, this kid that I'm talking about now, huge. If we can get some big bodies out there, I feel a lot more confident too, man. For whatever reason, maybe I'm just biased there, but as far as it goes for Kirk, I feel a lot more confident. If we got a bunch of big ass tubes running around the field, so you be that blanket and that safety net, because that's what Rudolph was forever and ever for whoever was throwing the ball.
Adam Thielen is 6'2". Stephon Diggs is 6
they're not going to blow you off the page. They're not going to be like that Metcalf kid that the Seahawks signed, all huge and jacked, or Julio Jones tall, or like Jimmy Graham tall.
You know what? I just Googled it. Julio Jones is 6'3". So you were talking about how Adam Thielen is like sneaky tall. He's almost as tall as Julio Jones.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because he's bigger than he looks. He doesn't look that big on the field. I think he just looks like an average size player, but he's bigger than he looks.
I mean, Odell Beckham is 5'11", Antonio Brown is 5'10".
Yeah, and those guys are
so,
for sure. That's a good point.
What's AJ Green? He's 6'4". AJ Green is 6'4".
See, we're going through height right now on this show because that's how in depth we love to go. Go the extra mile for you.
No, that's a good point that you brought up about Adam Thielen. Is that he's sneaky fast and he's like sneaky tall. Like you don't think of him. I guess maybe you should, because he had a damn good season. But
2 of them in a row. Really, really good seasons, and you forget that he used to do the special team stuff, and you got to have fast guys on special teams. So he's got underrated speed, but he's known more for his route running and his catching ability. So you have all that to his advantage. But that's pretty much it for the main topic and all the other. So I just wanted to throw in a couple of extras because I'd seen them floating around, and they jumped out in my mind now to talk about something different because why not?
Ying Yash says it's all because Adam Thielen is white. Yeah,
that's it. That's the only reason why we're talk about only the white players here.
Yep. He says DK Metcalf is another Laquan Treadwell. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man,
over on my other podcast, Jeff is a Seahawks fan. And he absolutely hates the fact that they drafted him. He hates it so much. He's like, he didn't do anything in college. He's like, I hate this guy.
Yeah, that corner that I wanted us to get, Greedy Williams, he shut his big ass down. So
yeah.
We'll see. Tell your buddy Jeff, if they start winning and he does well, he has to still hate him.
I will.
Did we do a social media question, or did we save that?
I have one from last week that we forgot to do. Do you want me to pull it up really quick?
Yeah, I can filibuster.
Filibuster.
Adam Carlson is not with us this week. I'm assuming that he's on a hot date because he said he was going to be out. So
I believe he was helping someone move. It may have been his mother.
Oh,
because he is a good kid.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. Yeah, we'll round out the show and finish it up with this one. We're trying to keep consistent on that. With everything else, not to make the excuses for this show, but with how everything's evolving and trying to keep up with social media questions, it really has been like a super duper challenge, at least on my end, try to come up with something interesting. But Those are always fun, man. We'll always have them, but maybe not as consistently as like every week.
Okay. Here's one. This one was a fun one. I remember we asked you guys, who would you rather have as a backup quarterback, Gus Frerotte or Case Keenum?
Yeah.
We got weird with this one. I like the weird questions like this. Keenum, easy. Sure, he had some bad throws, but he can hold on to the football when he gets hit. And who else is responsible for the Minneapolis miracle? I would say Stephon Diggs also had a big part of that miracle, but it was Case Keenum who made the throw. So if it wasn't for yes, and it was a really good throw, so I will give you that too. Mark Anderson says, I want Case Keenum. Gus does a great job in relief for a game or two, but that's it. If he had to finish out the season like Case did, I would have started, well, there's always the next season mantra. With Case, with Case, he proved himself to be able to finish out a season and still get the team to an NFC championship game, which is a really solid point. Gus Frerotte was very much the come off the bench. He can win you a game or two, but then he would always revert back to showing why he was a backup. That was also why Gus Frerotte was in quarterback competitions with Tavares Jackson. Joe Carlson said, why is this even a question? He says, I've never seen Gus make the plays that Case did. I disagree with that a little bit. Gus Frerotte was, we used to call him like the poor man's Brett Favre, because he really was like a poor man's Brett Favre when he would get out on the field. Like, he would come out for a drive or two and look like absolute shit, and he would get, I think I talked about this before, like, he would get like sacked, and his hand would be broke, and he'd be bleeding, and he'd like pop a thumb back in, and you'd come back from commercial break, and then you would just turn into like Brett Favre and would just like start like gunslinging it like out on the field, and you'd be like, where the hell did this come from? And that's why he was so much fun to watch. I'm honestly a big Gus Frerotte fan. I really liked the guy. I thought he was a fun quarterback to watch for the Vikings. And no, you didn't want him as your starter, but for a backup, I think Gus is everything that you would want from a backup quarterback. Just that gritty, tough player that you could count on to come out if you needed to finish a game or go in there for a game or two and win it for you. Like, that's the guy I want as a backup quarterback.
I'm gonna go with Case just because, like the longevity, like you said, the kid had to play like 13 or 14 games that season. I still haven't gotten any damn answers to what happened to Bradford after that week 1 game where he put on a fucking clinic against the Saints. There was no answer to anything. It was like top secret material, classified information. But yeah, he played the whole season. And did he have a lot of stuff going his way? Absolutely. The defense was on fire. The play calling was great from Pat Shurmur. I get it. But I think that would give me the slight edge. But the best comparison, man, you said Gus Frerotte was a poor man's Brett Favre. And in that, oh, man, I twisted my ankle. I don't know if I'd finish the game. That's who I would go with. But for the longevity of a season, I give the edge to old Case.
Yeah.
I think that's it, man. I already closed the notes out. I'll end the show with this if you guys didn't hear earlier. We posted it on the page, and it was super funny. I think that he got hacked, but Brett Favre's official Instagram page today posted this, and I'm going to read it to you because I just, for the life of me, couldn't believe what I saw on my screen.
It had to have been a hack.
Yeah, no, I think he was hacked for sure, but let me find it on here while I try to – what the hell is this thing? Here we go. Brett Favre, a true champion sticks to his or her calling. I will be coming out of retirement and making my return to play in the NFL for the 2020 season. More news. That was today at 5:27 p.m. This post has since been deleted and lit the internet on fire. The guy's already got his jacket. He said many times years ago, and he hasn't gotten any younger since, that he can still throw a football. I have no doubt in my mind. He can throw it very far, very hard. However, he did say at Gruden's quarterback camp in the special edition with him, he's like, well, I can throw. I just don't want to get hit. So that was funny. I think he got hacked. I'm ready to see where that story goes and what the response is. And when we find out what it was, we'll tell you right here.
So I was on Twitter. I had Twitter pulled up on my computer at the time, and I looked over on the side tab, and it shows you like what's trending around the U.S. right now, and it kind of tailors it to stuff that you interact with, whatever. And of course, I'm a big football fan. I get a lot of football stuff, and I looked over and I seen that Brett Favre was like the #2 trending topic in America, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, what's going on with Brett Favre? Like what? I see. I thought maybe that he's going to be ESPN signed him as a color commentator or something like that is what I was expecting. And I seen that post that said that he was going to play, and I laughed so fucking hard. You knew right away, like, oh, he must have got hacked. But it's so funny because in the back of your mind, you're like, well, maybe.
The only reason, if you guys can see, I'll try to angle it right. So these are Terry Bradshaw. I think that's the year they won the Super Bowl because I see the trophy behind them.
Yeah, that's what, like 96?
That would be early 1997 into 96.
Yeah.
So the only reason I think that's BS is because he says return to play in the NFL. Now, if he had left the word play out and said, I'm going to return to the NFL in 2020, I would totally buy that because he could be a coach or a color commentator of some sort. Maybe he does what Tony Romo did and comes in and calls, but I don't know, man. I don't believe that. I'm very interested to see what the hell happened, and I want to hear an official statement on what the hell was that. That was
I think Favre would be entertaining as can be as a color commentator.
Yeah.
Definitely very Tony Romo-like. He's just entertaining to listen to. I'd be down for that. When he was running that offense for, what was it, a high school or something, he supposedly was doing pretty good with that. We always joked about how, Brett Favre should come back and be a quarterback's coach. But what is Brett Favre really going to coach as a quarterback? Like, hey, you see that receiver with the 3 defenders around him? I'd throw the ball right there because he's Brett Favre.
The reason I would never hire him as my quarterback's coach, he said it on either his it was one of the specials or wherever they sat down talking. It was like, maybe it was the Gruden's quarterback camp thing. It might be it. He's like, every time I threw the ball, I wanted to throw a touchdown. I'm like, I mean, the heart of a fucking lion and a champion, but sometimes you just need to throw a 5-yard slant, Brett. You don't need to throw a fucking touchdown every time you throw the ball, but he damn sure was going to try, which is one of the reasons.
That's what made Brett Favre Brett Favre.
Oh yeah.
Love him or hate him, there was no such thing as a check down.
Oh man. Old Brett Favre. That's a good way to round out the show.
I think so too.
It's the middle of June, guys. There's like 79 days until kickoff. I saw today it was a Marshawn Lynch.
Oh boy.
79-yard busted 10-tackle run against the Cardinals. It was beautiful. So 79 days left as of today. Get ready. I don't even count that though. I'm just ready. So once we get to preseason, then there will actually be football. Now, is it football that's worth a damn? That's up to you as the viewer. But football will officially be back some point at the end of August, I believe.
Forget. You're even a little far forward with that. When we get to training camp, as soon as you get to training camp, like it's really like you have like tangible football stories to discuss and talk about. You get to talk about what players injuries, unfortunately, but like, hey, this player looked good. This player didn't look good. This player, Laquan Treadwell got cut. There's a trade. Like all that starts happening. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as far as the news for the show, yeah, you're 100% right. We'll obviously keep you updated. That's what we do here. But
you can tell it's a slow week when we have to start digging out pro football stats to pad out the topics.
Yeah, that's all I got this week. I'll plug stuff for Adam. He is a writer for the VikingAge.com, thevikingage.com. Go check it out. We steal a lot of our notes from that website. He is a writer there. That's how he gets paid. So doing the friendly thing to give him help over there. If you go click on an article written by Adam Carlson and then you go interact in the comments section, that will boost his numbers and that will help him get paid more money. So you should go do that if you're listening right now. You can just come in and just type LOL or hey, Adam, and you helped him out and helped him pay some more rent or make a little extra money. So the Viking Age is a really good site. They have a plethora of writers and they have different personalities and writing styles. So I really enjoy that site. Not just telling you that because he is on the show with us. I genuinely check it because if you want to nerd out on very specific Viking articles, they've got it all. What about you, sir? I don't have anything to plug anymore. I am in transition out of the Air Force active duty side into the reserve. I don't have a band. I don't have anything to promote dog-wise. So I get to throw everything for you guys. What do you have to plug for us?
I guess I could plug my photography stuff.
Yep.
I had a random sale, which is always fun. I was like, oh, someone bought my shit. Why did you do that? That's cool. I appreciate it. It's really cool. I always appreciate it. And I do have Vikings prints over there as well, too. So I got some Vikings material to loop it back into the show. But you can check my website out over at phantasmdigital.com. There's all kinds of cool things. I'm always working on adding more. I have a photo shoot lined up that's going to be an interesting, fun one. One of my goals for 2019 is I'm trying to do more staged work, meaning that usually, like when I go out, like usually I'll do found like things that already exist, whether it be like nature shots or like I went for a walk. These are things I photographed. So I'm working on doing like more. I set this shot up. I have control over it. This is the theme that I was going for. I brought these props. I'm doing this kind of work. And so I have a shoot lined up for next month that's going to be I'm really looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. So you have to stay tuned for that one. I'm going to be doing some like behind the scenes YouTube videos about 5 to 10 minutes in length where I want to talk about like, hey, this is what goes into these shoots. And like, this is my idea. These are the props in the next episode. This is the location in the next episode. Because a lot of the times when you do this kind of work, it's like you do a shoot and then you put the photos out online, you promote it for a week or two, and then it's just kind of like out into the void and no one really, you don't know what to do with it after that. And so I think that doing some video content to go with it is a fun way to hopefully let people be interested and see all the work that goes into it other than just snapping a photo with your iPhone, because there's I do a lot more than just like just taking an iPhone photo, like if that makes sense.
It's like that meme that's out there, the cartoon and the butterfly. It's like I bought an iPhone. Am I a photographer now? There's so much into it, man. I've seen you post the stuff on there. I can vouch. Kyle's trying some interesting ideas and concepts throughout his town out in Iowa, so I thought it was really cool. When you're making art or trying to record art, I think the best thing is just to try stuff and just to try to be uncomfortable. And you're definitely in your wheelhouse with some of the themes that you do. I don't want to give it away, but like the cemetery stuff, that's pretty cool. But using the props, man, and then seeing how the location and the background makes it pop even more, how it's relevant to what you're trying to do, I think that's really cool, man. You guys should go check it out. Go buy some shit for Kyle, and if you buy enough of his stuff, he doesn't have to pay his phone bill for a month. Yeah, man. Good work over there. I don't have anything else. We'll be back next week at some point.
I think that'll do it for this one.
I'm going to be a lazy turd and enjoy my last couple of weeks and not do much. So I will definitely be back next week. Pretty sure Kyle will too. We'll try to get Adam in here. Try to get Dorian Foley back if he's available. And until then, you guys stay safe, enjoy your week, and stay classy, Minnesota.